My name is Marco Halloran.
¿Eres actor y guionista?
I am, I'm an actor and a screenwriter. Okay, Viva happened because I met the director, Paddy Brannock, and I wanted to work for him. I wanted to write him a screenplay. And I asked him what he was interested in, and he had been to Cuba and he liked what he felt in the atmosphere there, and he asked me to go with him, and we went for 2 weeks, and he said, if you find a story in Havana, write it down when you get home and send it to me as a 2-page outline, and we'll see whether we like it or not. So we both went to Havana. I went to see all the drag shows, the travesti shows. I was amazed by it. It was much different to drag shows that I would see in Dublin or London. There was something about the strength of the performers, the way they inhabited their role. And so I also interviewed lots of drag queens, and they told me similar stories about difficulties with their families or difficulties with their fathers, especially. The difficulties of how it is to be a man who dresses as a woman, or men who are feminine, and how it's difficult for a feminine man in a macho society. And I liked those stories, and I wrote up a story, and he said, yes, let's do this. The most difficult part of the whole thing was, I think, I had to find out what it was like, what the soul of the nation was like in Cuba. So I had a lot of reading to do. I read all of the authors that I could find, you know, starting with Jose Marti. I read up to the novelists such as Juan Pedro Gutierrez, and everything in between, all the poets, all the novelists. I read the history of Cuba. I wanted to feel what that was like. I read all about the revolution, of course. I then listened to the music, and I think that the only way to find out about Cuba and the soul of the nation is to listen to its music. The music is part of the people. It's part of their heart and their soul. So once that study period was done, it took me a year to write it. It then took quite a long time to get the finance, because people were like, you're 2 Irish guys who want to make a film about Cuban drag queens. Bye. We couldn't, you can't use American money. There's no American money can be used in the making of a film over in Cuba, so that was difficult. So finally, the Irish government financed the whole thing for us to go over and make it there. So that took a long time. Yes, every day I write a diary. And I write it because, first of all, to continue writing. And it's really important to write every day. And sometimes you can't be writing your screenplays every day because, you know, you go in and out of work. But for me, the diary is to remember all of the details I see in life. So, for instance, I taught in class yesterday, and there was some really interesting stories being told in the class, and I needed to write them down when I got home. I needed to write them down, and I needed to write down that Laura took me to the town in Puerto Vallarta, so I needed to write down what I saw and the conversations we had. And so it makes me feel as if I'm attached to the world. Yeah. Chaotico. I don't know whether that's a word, but I find that my process changes. Years ago, it was all about, I used to have actual notebooks. So I have my diary that I write my day diary in, that's fine. But I used to have notebooks that I would have ideas that I'd need to rush down, and then these would pile up on my desk, and I would try and ensure that I was writing 3 pages a day, and that was really important, and that I would try and not rewrite as much as possible, but keep it fresh. Now I write in a different way. I don't have notebooks. If I get ideas, I put it on my phone. I print those notes out when I get home, so it's printed pages. I write much slower now. I don't write 3 pages a day, I might write 1 page a day. Mi próximo proyecto es una película este junio. It's being made on the 11th of June is the first day of principal photography. It's called Rialto, que es un barrio in Dublin. It's a local neighborhood. It's a working class neighborhood, and it's set in that barrio. And it's about a man whose father has died a month before the film starts. And he has a normal, regular life. He has 2 children, aged 19 or 20, a son who he has a terrible, terrible relationship. And one day he's in a shopping center and he sees a male prostitute working, and he thinks in the instant that he has fallen in love with him. But he's actually losing his mind. He's having a nervous breakdown. And he ends up destroying his family. But basically what he has to do is, he's so destroyed by his own father that he can't keep living if he doesn't break everything that's around him. And I think it sounds like a very dark film, and it is very dark, but at the end there's hope. He does a terrible thing to his family, but if they can forgive him, he will be a better person afterwards. Sí, un gran diferencia, yo pienso. Television consumes more words, so you need more dialogue. You need the dialogue to move a lot quicker. You need bigger, more adaptable storylines, because you're constantly trying to have the audience with you. So not quite telenovelas, but sometimes you need the drama to move a little bit quicker. In films, you have a lot of people in a captive place, and you're showing them these big pictures. You can hold things. Dialogue can be at a minimum. I get asked sometimes by young people, they go, how do you become a screenwriter? And my answer is, write screenplays.